Hello, my name is Cameron Alkan. I'm a student at the University of San Diego. This presentation about proposing a cyber threat intelligence plan to a hypothetical space exploration company. This is part of cyber intelligence class, the final assignment. The intended audience is C-level employees like CIOs and CEOs, that type of employee. We have about 10 or 15 minutes, so we'll keep it short and sweet. We'll start with some definitions, like what is cyber threat intelligence, and then we'll cover some of the proposed cyber threat intelligence tools, and then we'll move to adversarial threat examples, and we'll finish it with a risk reduction plan.
So what is cyber threat intelligence? According to EY.com, cyber threat intelligence is an advanced process that enables an organization to gather valuable insights based on the analysis of contextual and situational risks, and can be tailored to organization's specific threat landscape, to its industry and markets. So it answers questions like what capabilities do our adversaries or our competitors possess? What are their intentions? What's the most dangerous thing they can do? What effect might all of this have on our ability to accomplish our goals? For example, what's the latest ransomware attack? Or what are the, what's the latest malware? That kind of stuff. Uh, Most of this creates actionable intelligence. Intelligence deals with all things which should be known in advance of initiating a course of action. So, rather than being developed in an end-to-end process, the development of intelligence is a circular process, referred to as the intelligence cycle. In this cycle, requirements are stated, data collection is planned, implemented, and evaluated. The results are then analyzed to produce intelligence, and the resulting intelligence is disseminated and re-evaluated in the context of new information and consumer feedback. The analysis portion of the cycle is what differentiates intelligence from information gathering and dissemination. Intelligence analysis relies on rigorous way of thinking that uses structured analytical techniques to ensure biases, mindsets, and uncertainties, things like that. Instead of reaching conclusions about difficult questions, intelligence analysts think about how they reach the conclusions. This extra step ensures that, to the extent feasible, the analyst mindset and biases are accounted for and minimized or incorporated as necessary. The process is a cycle because it identifies intelligence gaps, unanswered questions which prompt new collection requirements, thus restarting the entire intelligence cycle. Intelligence analysts identify intelligence gaps during the analysis phase. Intelligence analysts and consumers determine the intelligence gaps during the dissemination and reevaluation phase. Next, we're going to talk about some of the proposed cyber threat intelligence tools that fits to our organization. So cyber threat intelligence is more than just obtaining data or the machine data. It actually brings the human expertise into the whole perspective. By attaining evidence-based insights into cybersecurity and threat landscape, CTI can be delivered and leveraged in many ways to inform decision makers at all levels, from security analysts to the most senior executives. So different levels of organization require different levels of information. C-level person might require an executive summary that's touching on the highlights to make the decision, whereas some of the analysts might require more in-depth knowledge of what's happening. So this information can be delivered in as subscription and feeds. uh, the machine consumable part of the data can be actually put on a software platform with data visualization with graphs and stuff like that. And then the tool that we pick, it needs to be able to integrate with future or existing, homegrown framework. It needs to be able to the current framework needs to be able to ingest the data from the CTI sources. So we need to keep that in consideration when we pick our CTI tool. Our existing security solutions are effective against known threats when kept current, but they're still vulnerable to being bypassed by attacks that utilize, zero-day exploits. Cyber threat intelligence provides a proactive and effective solution against persistent adversaries. Threat intelligence should be a central component in an effective security strategy. So there are many, different cyber threat intelligence services, providers, and platforms in the market. But I believe since our hypothetical company is working with Symantec already, Symantec's Deep Sight Intelligence Service would be a great first fit for our organization because the learning curve would not be so steep because our resources are already used to the Symantec products and services, so it will be a minimal training on that one. This deep sight intelligence is service based. It can be cloud hosted, so we don't need to invest in any kind of hardware platform, well, or minimal anyway. It is centralized and customizable. I would address it would also address the adversary intelligence and technical intelligence gap we have in our organization. So they are basically being offered as a technical intelligence service and an adversary intelligence. Basically, the adversary intelligence provides access to analysts and researchers who have extensive experience working with the intelligence community and security industry. They target ensuring that deep sight intelligence meets analytical standards and is timely, relevant, context-rich, and accurate. Uh, Symantec offers to directly engage their analyst team in relation to specific questions pertaining to attacks and incidents faced by our organization. So I would basically, recommend that we have our own team, and cyber threat intelligence reports just must be, built for us. And then the technical intelligence portion
I
of it
believe
basically
once we talk
covers
about some of these
vulnerability,
adversarial
intelligence,
threat
network
examples,
reputation,
it's going to come together for
security
you
risk,
how
malport
important it
file,
is that
file
we have a cyber
reputation,
threat
including
intelligence
risk
plan.
scores, impacted
In this
products,
slide, you
patch
see the
availability and
15,
exploits,
top
those kinds of
threats
things.
for the year 2017 and 2018. This was issued by the European Union Agency for Network Information Security. They issue this annually. So all of these, top 15 threats are basically threats to our company, to our, IP, and to our assets, from malware to phishing to ransomware and data breaches. So probably the biggest attack in 2017 was the Moller-Maersk attack, otherwise known as the NotPetya attack. Moller-Maersk is a maritime giant. They basically haul about, I can't remember, 60% of the world's cargo, and so they were hit on June 27, 2017. So if you want to talk about return of investment, this is probably a good example because the total damages to company was $300 million, and the company operates in 76 ports in all sides of the world, and they have about 800 seafaring vessels, including container ships carrying tens of millions of tons of cargo, representing close to a fifth of the entire world's shipping capacity. So it was 20%. My apologies. And all of this was dead in the water for a while. So compared to the overall damage of the whole attack, which was about $10 billion, so the $300 million that happened to Maersk wasn't all that much, in the scale of overall things. But what's really scary, and what our company needs to keep in mind, is that according to the
the chairman of Maersk, they were not even the primary target of the attack. So, you know, a lot of the evidence suggests that this was basically an attack by the Russians to Ukraine, and evidently the the attack actually crippled Ukraine, all of their energy infrastructure and their hospitals and everything like that was attacked. But as a kind of a side effect, a lot of other companies were also attacked, or affected, like FedEx. The FedEx's European subsidiary TNT Express is called. French construction company Saint-Gobain, food producer Mondelez, manufacturer Reckitt Benckiser. Uh, a lot of other companies were also affected by this. So the tools they used during this attack was Eternal Blue, and Mimikatz, which were, one of them was an old NSA tool, and the one is, is readily available. But if you look at this chart, this is basically the reappearance of the Eternal Blue in 2017 and 2018. As you can see, it's not going anywhere, and it's highly likely that it's going to happen again. Also, in another attack, Baltimore's 911 dispatch attack was hit. Hacktivist attackers are suspect in even the socio-political tension. Basically, an IT employee left a port open in the firewall to the internet for about 24 hours, and hackers basically, they were highly likely using some automatic scanning tools, and you know, they received access, crippled the entire town's 911 system. City had to revert to manual dispatching during the attack. Many lives were possibly put in harm. Another attack that happened in 2017 was to Schneider's Triconic system. It happened at one of their customers in the Middle East. It happened to one of their customers in the Middle East. The cybersecurity attack basically modified the safety instrumented system configuration in what appears to be a nation state attack. What's really scary about this one is, Purdue model is basically what's heavily used in the industry to, as a reference architecture, and safety zones are at the very bottom. Is the most, protected part of the network, and they were able to access and deploy RATs, some remote access terminals, and uh, you know, they were able to manipulate the safety instrument system. So this could, result in loss of life, in financial damages, and loss of reputation. This was a very important one. It was the first of its kind. Next, we're going to talk about, mitigation methods and a risk reduction plan based on, our company's threat landscape and, what's out there, and, based on some of the examples we shared. Another measure that needs to be put in place is, in order for us to isolate, control, and monitor across network access points, we need to segment the network. That way, if an attack happens in one part of the network, that can be isolated from the rest of the network, or like if a virus gets in or something like that, it can be isolated in a faster fashion. So another recommended mitigation based on the attack is cybersecurity training on all network control points, and internet-facing web servers needs to be delivered to all of necessary resources. Patch management for all servers and applications needs to be reviewed, and they need to be more responsive. Timely vendor support for applications is a must. In case of a failure or something like that, we need to be able to access the vendor resources quickly. And thank you for listening to me. And here are some of my references.